Etsy's ads aren't broken. They aren't ripping you off by mistake. They're ripping you off by design. Let me explain. Last night, I found an article where Etsy are... This is not like me speculating. This is not wild rumours. I found an article where Etsy are explaining their ad system, their algorithm for ads, how they decide how to charge cost per click. Now, I've gone into whole loads of details about ads in the past, but one thing that I spotted a little while ago was that Etsy ads are charging me almost as much as they make. And I thought, this was terrible. This was like a big worseningness to what it used to be. This must be some kind of mistake. But I found actual proof that Etsy are proud of, that they've designed this. The ads are working perfectly if they're ripping you off. So... Now, I started to read this last night. I thought I would read all through it and then make it into a decent, understandable article, explain it to you all. But I was reading it, I was getting mad. I thought, no, I'm going online. I'm just going to make this video of my first impressions, explaining everything I know here. We can sit down, talk about it, calm down together, and then, if needs be, I'll dig into it some more. But here you can see this article that I found. This is from Etsy coding people, coderscraft.com, talking about how we built a context-specific bidding system for Etsy ads. Now, I haven't read all of this. I've read some of this, enough to get a bit wound up. So, buckle up your belt of indignation, because if you've been paying for Etsy ads, you might get a little bit mad. Right, let's dive into it. So this was just published a couple of days ago. I just found it yesterday, like I say. This is... whatever. Anyway, okay, Etsy Ads is an on-site advertising product that gives Etsy sellers the opportunity to promote their goods to buyers across the website and mobile apps. For those that don't know, it changed about a year ago. In the past, there used to be more stuff you could do on it. You could change how much you bid and a whole load of things, but they made it easier for us. Sellers who participate in the Etsy Ads program are acting as bidders in an automated real-time auction that allows the listings to be highlighted alongside organic search results when the ad system judges they're relevant. Wow, can't read today. Sellers only pay for a promoted listing when a buyer actually clicks on it. In 2019, we moved all of our Etsy ad sellers to automated bid pricing. We knew it was important to have a strong return on the money our sellers spent. Right, before they did this, I was getting about $10 back for every dollar I spent. Once they did this, I'm getting nearly 1-to-1. And this is what they've designed. We're aligned with our sellers' goal to drive as many converting and profitable clicks as possible. Over the past year, we've doubled down on improvements to the bid system, developing a neural network-powered platform that can determine at request time when the system should bid higher or lower on the seller's behalf to promote their item to a buyer. We call it contextual bidding, and it represents a significant improvement in the flexibility and effectiveness of the automation on Etsy Ads. So in the past, we had the ability to choose how much we wanted to put into, how much cost per click we wanted to go up to a maximum. Now, I've done videos in the past. I've done a really cool video with needle-felted animals to explain how a cost per click bidding war works. Basically, it's bidding up until you outbid all the competitors and then your item gets seen. So it did confuse me slightly how Etsy as the system could decide on how much to charge us, be in control of that bidding and also be in control of showing the ads and everything. It seemed a bit too much. It seemed a bit unfair, but what they said at the time, they told us that sellers were unhappy because all of their budget wasn't being used up. So you could say you wanted to spend £1 a day in advertising, and it might happen that you only spent 50 pence a day or 50 cents in a day. So Etsy thought that wasn't good enough and they wanted to use up our whole pound. But what they didn't tell us was they wanted to use up our whole pound and not give us the same return on investment, not for that entire pound to make £10 back in sales. No, they wanted to use up our entire pound and give us £1 back in sales. But I'm going ahead, right? I'm not even going to edit this video. You're just getting raw Pam rants. So first, some background. In the past, Etsy Ads gave sellers the option to set static bids for their listings based on the estimate of value. That bid price would be used every time one of their listings was matched for a search. If a seller only ever wanted to pay 5 cents for a click, they could tell us and we would bid 5 cents for them every time. That is a bit not true. You had the option to say, I want to pay, but you also had the option to say 5 cents is the top that I want to pay. And that's a very different thing, because that means if there's nobody else wanting that advert, if everybody else has used up their budget before you, and you come in later in the day and you say, I only want to bid as high as 5 cents, it's like an eBay auction. It doesn't go all the way up. So they're kind of falsehooding a little bit there. The majority of our sellers didn't have strong opinions about per listing bid prices, and for them we had an algorithmic auto bidding system to bid on their behalf. They did. Everybody who said that Etsy Ads didn't work for them in that time, was because they just switched it on and left the auto bidding. And it was a complete rip-off. It didn't work. The only people that had ads that worked for them was the ones that didn't set up the auto bidding, that knew you had to go in and change this. And once we did, it was fantastic. That's why these were some of my biggest videos, because people wanted to share this to help other people. Because it's not that people didn't have a strong opinion, they didn't know how to dig in and change things. And once they learnt how to dig in and change things, then things got so much better. So, but even for sellers who self-priced, most adopted a set it and forget it strategy. Yeah, once I set up mine and it was working and I was happy with a 10 times return on investment, I set it and forget it. Their prices never changed, so our system made the same bid for them, the highest converting times during the week, as it did, say, on a Tuesday at 4 a.m. Not true. This is totally not true. Savvier sellers adjusted their bids day to day to take advantage of the weekly traffic trends. No matter how proactive they were, though, sellers were still limited because they lacked request time information about searches. They could only set one bid price across all ad requests. I know what they're saying. If you said it was you only wanted to bid up to 5 cents, then you couldn't suddenly go in and say, oh, at 6 in the evening my ads are doing a whole lot better, I want to add a bit more in. It's hard work to do that. But if you set a high enough cost per if you set a low enough, if you set the right cost per click, then at a quiet time it wouldn't use up all of your budget, and then you had some wiggle room that it would increase your cost per click and it would spend a bit more. So you actually had a lot more ability and it worked just so well. So yeah, it sounds like they're being either a little disingenuous here or they didn't understand their own system and how we were using it, but it worked a lot better than it does now. It worked for sellers a lot better than it does now. So, little graphs. 2 scatter plots display the same ads shown to prospective buyers over the course of one day. Each dot represents a single ad shown: blue if the listing went on to be purchased, red if it does not. The plots differentiated whether a buyer and seller are in the same region. The data suggests higher likelihood of a purchase when the buyers are in the same region as the seller. Okay, that's fine. They're saying we discovered if the buyer is in the same place as the seller, then there's more likely to be a sale. That's cool. That's something that you could have put into your system where you were showing the ads. That's nothing about prices or the cost per click. Our data shows that conversion rates differ across many axes. True, whether someone's likely to buy depends on a lot of factors. We know this. The hour a day, the day of the week, the platform, that's where the ad's shown, the page type, in other words, the context. We migrated our Etsy ads sellers to an algorithmic bid pricing because we wanted to assure that all of them, regardless of their sophistication with online advertising, had a fair chance to benefit from promoting their goods on Etsy. But to realise that goal, we knew we needed to build a system that could set context-aware bids. So fantastic! They sorted out a system that could understand what the buyer was most likely to want to buy, to be able to show the ad to the right kind of person. That all sounds good, but that is not the same as how much to charge for a click. That's talking about what ads to show, totally. Two different things, but worded to make it sound. To make it sound like they're doing a good. And I'll tell you, my ads didn't increase in number of sales, they increased in number of money. Number of money given to Etsy. How to auto bid. As I say, now there's a whole video of this on my channel, and I think it explains it way better than this. It's kind of fun. Give it a watch at the end of this, and that might help you with the auto bid. But Etsy ads ranks listings based on their bid price multiplied by their predicted click-through rate. This is where I kind of got a bit ranty last night and had to go to bed and decide to make the video today. In what's known as a second price auction, this is an auction structure where the winning bid only has to pay a cent above what would be needed to outrank the second highest bidder in the auction. So that makes sense. Like, you're on eBay, you put up one bid and another person puts up another bid, and the system bids all the way up until you've outbid the other person. That totally makes sense. But the problem is, what we have here, it's not like eBay where two different people are deciding what they bid. Etsy is deciding what each of these two people bid. Yeah. Okay, so you've got to decide what goes in an ad, whatever the buyer's putting in the query. So listing candidate set generation, big words. So bidding system and click-through rate prediction decides where you rank. So they are deciding where you're going to rank based on the likelihood of someone clicking and buying the ad. Kind of makes sense, but they're saying this is to help everybody, even not the most savvy people. Well, it doesn't. This is to help Etsy. This is saying which seller's most likely to give us sales to make us money on this ad. Therefore, that goes into the ranking position on what's shown in an ad. In a second price auction, it's in the advertiser's best interest to bid the highest amount they're willing to pay, knowing they will often end up paying less than that. This is the strategy our auto bidder adopts. Yeah, that's the strategy that we used to adopt. It sets the seller's bid based on the value they can expect from an ad click. Expected value of an ad click equals the predicted post-click conversion rate times expected order value. Again, this is where I started to get ranty. This is the algorithm that they're physically telling us that they're using. So they are deciding the cost of your ad based on the chance of your item converting and how much your item costs. So basically, they are trying to match up your ad costs to the amount you're going to make. This is literally what they're telling us here. And yeah, it gets more. Let's dig some further. To understand the intuition behind this formula, consider a seller who has a listing priced at $100. If on average 1 out of every 10 buyers who click on their listing end up purchasing it, the seller could pay $10 per click and over time break even. Of course, we don't want our sellers to just break even. We want their ads to generate more money in sales than advertising costs, so the auto bidder calculates the expected value of an ad click and then scales those numbers down to generate the big bid prices. So they work at a value that would give us a 1-to-1 ratio, and then they have a scaling factor. They decide the cost on the ads by how much profit they want to allow us to have. That's a number that they factor in. So they have decided that my ads should be making almost 1-to-1 what they cost. At high levels, we're assigning a value to an ad click based on factors like the amount of sales that the click is expected to generate. Yep, you've already told us this. You figure out how much you expect us to make from being shown here, and you charge us based on that. Obviously, there's a lot riding on that predicted conversion rate. Even marginal improvements makes a difference across the whole system. Our old automated bidder was, in a sense, static. It estimated the post-click conversion rate for each listing only once a day. But contextual bidder, with access to a rich set of attributes for every request, could set bids that were sensitive to how conversion is affected by time of day, day of week, and across platforms. Most importantly, it would be able to take relevance into account, bidding higher or lower based on factors like how the listing ranked for a buyer's search, and it would do that in real time. So, strategies we talked about in the past of turning off ads at certain times and turning them on at different times to maximize our ad spend is bunk now. It is minute by minute recalculating this to make sure that it always gives us the amount of profit it wants to give us. Okay, so here we go. I literally stopped at this bit. So this is just explaining it in a visual form. So they're saying the contextual factors, they know what the query, they know what the buyers put into it. They know what platform they're on. They know if they're on their phone or their computer. They know what hour of the day and what day of the week it is, and what page they're being shown on. So they've got all of these factors. They know how likely your item is to sell. So they have a click-through rate and a kind of sell-through rate of this item, and they know the price. So they're calculating the likelihood of that selling and figuring out how much to charge you, not based on any other factor than how much money they want to make, really. So here's their calculation. So that they're given an idea, their predicted post-click conversion rate. So the predicted chance of a sale here times the cost times the expected order value is the amount that their bid price is going to be. They've said they add a little factor in to determine how much profit you should make, but this is the one-to-one thing. So I can even do the maths for you here. Example of a context-specific bid for a printed towel search on an iOS device. This listing matched the query, and their model thinks that 5 out of every 1,000 clicks should lead to a purchase. So for every 1,000 clicks on ads at a $20 price for that item, they reckon 1,000 clicks should bring you $100. Right? With me so far? So they reckon the bid should be 10 cents per click. So they've decided there they want to charge you $100 to get those 1,000 clicks to get that $100 back. That is exactly what they're telling us there. They've given us the numbers. It doesn't take a genius to break that down. The adaptive price helps sellers win high purchase intent traffic and saves budget on low purchase intent traffic. Basically, what it's telling you is it'll give your item a really low bid price if it thinks that it's going to have a really low click-through, and more importantly, if they think it's going to have a very low sell-through rate, if it's going to have a very low conversion if it's shown on that search page, then it'll give you a much lower bid price, so you're unlikely for your ad to even be shown there. So items that convert best are more likely to be shown in search because they're going to have a higher click price, and that cost per click is going to cost you more. So items that convert more, which would do well in search anyway, items that convert more are more likely to be shown in ads on Etsy, and they ain't going to make you any money. Well, Slow clap, Etsy. Can we tell I'm a bit annoyed by this? Better PC CVR through machine learning. To power our new contextual bidder, we adopted our learning to rank, a widely applied information retrieval methodology that uses machine learning to create predictive rankings. So yeah, they have this wonderful machine learning, and it's in their interest to train this really well so it knows. The Etsy algorithms have a really good idea from all the data that they get going in. For instance, when someone searches for that searched term, what items are they more likely to buy? So they've got all this data going in, and the machine's learning and getting better and better. All this is not to help us. All this is to make sure that Etsy doesn't get their little formula wrong and end up giving someone a little more return on the ad spend than what they're allowed due to their formula. On each searched request, our system collects the top N matched candidate listings and predicts a post-click conversion rate for each of them. These predictions are combined with each listing's expected order value to generate a per listing bids, and the top results are sorted and returned. Any clicked ads are fed back into our system as training data. Yeah, so all they're telling you there is the system's constantly checking itself and learning some more. So that's machine learning. What it does is it takes all the inputs in. This is why the algorithms aren't always changing, they're just always learning, and it's a bit Terminator scariness. Takes all the inputs in, and the machine makes a prediction and says, we think this item's more likely to sell. Shows all this stuff out to the customer, and then gets the results and goes, that item sold less than we thought. Put it back in, run the variables. This is the machine doing it all itself. Run the variables, and then the next predictions are better and better. So the machine's doing that all the time. This is not to help us at the minute in time. Having a good algorithm that shows the buyer the right thing is awesome. And if they're learning all this to be able to put it into the normal search algorithm, that's great. But this just now is to make sure that they're not ripping themselves off in how much they're charging us for ads. Yeah, lots of fancy stuff talking about machine learning. I'm not even going to go through that because, yeah, it's computer speak. Evaluating post-click conversion rate. It's not always easy to evaluate the quality of predictions of machine learning model. The metrics we care about are the online metrics such as click-through rate, return on ad spend, and increasing click-through rate. Indicates we're showing our buyers listings that's more relevant to them. Absolutely, that's all the other stuff that goes in. They just want to know, if we show this item, is the customer going to buy it? And in ad terms, I'm afraid to say, if we show this item, which out of these items is likely to make us more money? And the money Etsy's making is on the sale and on the price that we're paying for the ad. Not going to say words like criminal, but dodgy. Best way to measure is A/B testing, but these tests take a long time to run, so it's beneficial to have a strong offline evaluation system that allows us to gain confidence ahead of online experimentation. From a product perspective, offline evaluation metrics can be used as benchmarks to guide roadmaps to ensure incremental model improvement translates to business objectives. That sounds like they do some testing before they make it go live. Sounds good. We chose to monitor precision recall. The difference. Yeah, okay, they're just tech speak about how they trained their system. We don't need to know about that. We were very pleased with the offline performance when we were able to get from our model. We quickly hit a roadblock when we tried to turn this into our scores into bid prices. So they're saying that, yeah, the bid prices didn't work very well. So distribution graphs, that's what you expect to see. Big formula. Conclusion, there we go. I'm not going to read too much text speak. One topic we didn't dive into in this post is the difficulty of experimenting with our bidding system. For one thing, real money is involved, and whenever we run an A/B test, means we need to be very careful about how we adjust our system. Yeah, absolutely. Too many tests, we could be losing even more money. Nor is it possible to truly isolate the variance of an A/B test because all the variants use the same pool of a variable budget. And once we change our bidding system, we moved from having to make batch predictions once a day to making online predictions up to 12,000 times a second. I mean, all this is really, really cool algorithmic stuff. It's just how they've used it. So what do they say in the finish here before I go off on a ranty? We're planning a follow-up post on some of the machine learning infrastructure challenges we faced when scaling the system. For now, we'll say that the effort was worth it. We took on a lot of responsibility 2 years ago when we moved all our sellers to our automated bidding system. But we can say that even the most sophisticated of them are benefiting from our improved bidding system. Incorrect. This was written by engineers, and I totally get it. They were given this thing to do, and they've done it really coolly. They've done this fantastically. They have created a system that can basically figure out, can make a return on investment, a return on the ad spend, can make it predictable. So whatever this factor, this additional factor that Etsy add in, let's find this bit again. It was way up at the top. Where did I put? Oh, too far up the top. Yeah, here we go. So this scaling factor, this deciding that how much profit they were going to allow the sellers, but it was always going to be reproducible. It gets better and better. It gets easier and easier. So across the board, on average, Etsy ads will make Etsy a well-known amount of money. They did a great job, it sounds like. They did fantastic. However, that's not what sellers wanted from an automated ad thing. That's not what we wanted. We enjoyed our items being seen in places where they would make us decent amounts of money. Not a system to give Etsy predictable amounts of money. So the engineers did really well, and I'm loving how much they're learning and everything. If this is giving a reproducible amount of money, then it's saying they're really, really honing in and being able to understand when the buyer searches for something, what is it that they're wanting to see on that page. So that's all good data that hopefully be fed back in to the original algorithm, because we want to be seen on the page where we're going to make the most money. That sounds cool. But in terms of ads, no, that's not what we want advertising for. As I said, I really don't like the idea of, instead of having your eBay, 2 people bidding and eBay bids it up to where it goes, I don't like the idea of the same person deciding the bidding amount for 2 different people, because that's dodgy. And not only that, anyway, my rant. Okay. I saw this and I thought I would make a video on this instantly. Let me know what you guys think. But my take home from this is, if you're getting a really terrible return on your ad spend, it's not because Etsy algorithms are broken. It's because they're working exactly like they've been designed for. Sorry about the length of that. Sorry about the ranty of that. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And if there's anything else, if I've got anything wrong, you want to dig into anything a bit more here, join me in the comments below.